I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed. I would use this line to describe Ahsoka. As I said in my earlier review of episodes 1 and 2, Ahsoka had both good and bad potential. One of those was going to be played out, and sadly, it was more towards the negative side than it was the positive. Ahsoka is wasted potential, a missed opportunity. The show is boring, the acting's not great, the show relies too much on nostalgia in the middle portion of the show, and it all culminates in a finale that's really unsatisfying. It's not the show that's going to save Star Wars. And although I do have a lot of negative things to say about Ahsoka, it's not the worst Star Wars we've seen. This is mid-tier Disney Plus Star Wars show, which isn't a high bar to pass, but it also isn't high praise either. What's up, guys? Jackson here. If you haven't seen Ahsoka episodes 1 through 8, massive spoilers ahead. If you care about that thing, you're gonna get the show spoiled. But if you don't care about spoilers or you've watched this whole show, let's just jump straight into this thing. Anyway, the plot for Rebels Season 5, the plot for Ahsoka, hasn't changed much since my last review. Ahsoka is chasing after Morgan Elsbeth and her two mercenaries, Baylan and Shin, Force users who have fallen to the dark side, as they attempt to find Grand Admiral Thrawn in another galaxy and bring him back in hopes of starting another intergalactic war, which is a huge no-no. Ahsoka teams up with Sabine, who is there in hopes of finding Ezra in this other galaxy, and Hera, who is there for some reason doing rebel-y things. Anyway, our rebel friends fail to stop Morgan and Baylan, and they get away to the other galaxy, taking Sabine with them willingly because, again, she only cares about getting to Ezra. And Ahsoka is left almost dead after a duel with Baylan. We then see that she's in some sort of in-between state. Is she dead? Is she not? Is she in her subconscious? Did she actually go to the branches of reality or life? I forgot what that thing is called. We don't know where she is, but for whatever reason, she sees Anakin. What is this vision of Anakin? Is it his Force ghost? Is it a hallucination? A way for her subconscious to fight back? We don't know. It's never really explained. But he's there because Anakin, dude. You remember Anakin. He's from the first 6 movies. I'm not going to lie. Even though it doesn't make much sense, him appearing was really cool. I mean, it's always nice to see Hayden Christensen back playing the role. I'm never against that. Anyway, Anakin's like, I have a lesson to teach you, Snips. Because, he has to say the thing. I have a lesson to teach you, Snips. Live or die. I'm sure Ahsoka's over here like, yeah, duh. If you're not living, you're dead. That's how that works. She goes through that whole lesson, going back to the Clone Wars days, where we see Rex in live action. Yes! It was cool to see. A little anticlimactic, but it was cool to see. Anyway, she goes out of her dream state, whatever, wanting to live. So she heads off to find the space whales to take her to this other galaxy where Thrawn and Ezra are. How do the space whales know where she wants to go? And if the explanation is, oh, well, they go there all the time, well, why didn't Thrawn or Ezra just snag a whale back to the new galaxy, have them eat the ship or whatever and then just skedaddle to the main galaxy? I don't really know. But she takes the whales there, and we finally get to see a new galaxy in the Star Wars universe, something we've never seen before. It's pretty much a wasteland. Not much life there. Pretty boring, pretty anticlimactic for breaking Star Wars tradition. There we find Grand Admiral Thrawn, the Thanos of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows. And he's there, he's chilling, trying to escape. It was pretty cool to see Thrawn in live action, not gonna lie. Anyway, Sabine goes out and finds Ezra in the most unemotional, unsatisfying reunion in probably the history of film. That may be a little bit overdramatic, but it's like, this is what the show was leading towards. This is what Rebels fans were excited for I think like 10 years, was a reunion with Ezra. And this is what we get. Even me, someone who's not a huge fan of Rebels. I mean, I enjoyed parts of it. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Even I was like, really? That's it? That's what we've been waiting for this whole time? That? Very unsatisfying. Anyway, Ezra, Sabine, and Ahsoka reunite to go and try to stop Thrawn from escaping. They fail, and Thrawn returns to the main Star Wars galaxy. Ezra found a way to stow along the ship in a really stupid scene, but that's besides the point. And so now Ahsoka and Sabine are trapped in the other galaxy, while Thrawn and Ezra are in the main galaxy. So they just swap places. Oh, and by the way, Balin went on his own thing to find something to do with the Mortis gods. I'm actually really interested in that. But that's Ahsoka. Oh, where do I get started on Ahsoka Season 1? The main description I have of the show is, again, wasted opportunity. Like, I'm just going to get this out of the way. Bringing back Anakin could have gone really well, and they could have done it right. And I like the idea that they technically didn't bring him back, like, alive. They didn't resurrect him. But the whole, like, lesson that he had to do made no sense. If that whole sequence, if that whole storyline made sense and actually impacted the character of Ahsoka, I wouldn't have a big of a problem with it. But it's so clearly there just to get fans to watch the show and to tickle the nostalgia part of the brain. It's kind of underwhelming. I think if Ahsoka was actually struggling with something going in, something that the previous 4 episodes alluded to up to that point, where she actually has to go on a journey, and then Anakin's the guide for that, that's great. But really, all they were trying to do was get Ahsoka to fight Anakin in live action. They just had AI write the script for the rest of the part and then have that happen. I mean, that's what it felt like. But again, just like the rest of the show, I think it had potential, but just fails in execution. Everything in the new galaxy is kind of a letdown. I was expecting some cool place with cool new native creatures and aliens and all this stuff. Maybe some new lore, like in how planets operate differently in the new galaxy, or maybe how the Force works differently, or, you know, certain changes between the two. But nope, we don't really get anything. It feels like just another bland Star Wars planet. And that doesn't help the feeling of Ahsoka and Sabine being trapped in another galaxy, because it just feels like a part of the main one. I already talked about this a little bit, but finding Ezra was really anticlimactic. I mean, this is, I think, up to 10 years of build-up to this moment, and it just falls so flat. And then Ezra doesn't really do anything for the rest of the time there. You know, you think we would experience some changes with him, you know? Maybe he's a big-time warrior now because he's had to fight to survive all this time. Or maybe, you know, he's been captured by Thrawn and tortured all this time. And so now we're getting to learn and see what all he's had to go through and how that's changed him as a character. But nope, he's just there. The only noticeable difference is he has a beard now and he's wearing robes. I think Ezra's character was kind of a letdown. Although he does have the most like character in the show, I feel like the rest are just like blank-faced, like tone-deaf dialogue giving characters, but he at least showed some emotion when he was talking. Really, the main highlight of the show is the villains. I found myself throughout the show rooting more for the villains than I did the heroes. Just because, like, they're so much more likable and so much more intriguing. I'd say my favorite of the villains were Balin and Shin, and they don't get nearly enough screen time as they deserve to. But their whole quest line and their relationship is so much more interesting and so much better done than the relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine. Balin's dialogue and the way Ray Stevenson delivers it is just, like, it's so cool. He's such a cool character. And his lightsaber being so big and the way he moves and fights and all this stuff, it was so cool. And then what he ended up actually doing, some sort of quest with the Mortis gods, which, if it goes where I think it's going, leads to Abeloth. That's going to be crazy. That's going to shake up the entire Star Wars universe. I have mixed feelings about Thrawn. It was really cool seeing him in live action. I thought it was a great idea to bring the voice actor from Rebels back to play him in live action. Although he isn't as intimidating as you would want your Thanos-type villain to be. Especially since he makes some pretty stupid decisions throughout the show. I mean, this is supposed to be one of the smartest guys in the galaxy, and he just consistently makes bad decisions. Like, all the time withdrawing when he has his opponents on the run, on the edge, their backs to the wall. He just pulls them out and lets them live. He constantly gives our heroes free passes to keep going with the story. I mean, Ahsoka and Sabine should have been dead way before the finale. I wish they did a better job establishing Thrawn as a threat. I know they do in Rebels and whatever, but do you know how many people who are watching Ahsoka have never seen a lick of Rebels? Only hardcore Star Wars fans, and in fact, only hardcore Rebels fans are really going to understand why Thrawn's a threat. The rest of the fan base is not. And let's be honest, how many of them are really going to go back and watch Rebels just to find out more about Thrawn? So I wish they did a better job establishing him as a threat, killing off some notable characters, or doing something that really shows, shoot, this dude's a threat. This dude is bad news. The only thing they really do to kind of set him up as a bad guy is show Hera and Mon Mothma talking about it. And Hera's like, well, you better prepare for the worst. And it's like, can you show us that? Can you show us why you need to prepare for the worst? Why this dude is so bad? They don't really do that. Morgan Elsbeth's fine. She feels more like a plot device than a character, which is fine. And then the Inquisitor guy in the first 3 episodes, what a letdown. I'm going to be honest. What a letdown. What a cool concept to just throw down the drain. Or the fact that he was just a figment of Night Sister magic is so lame. Like, at least make it a person. It doesn't have to be a previously established Star Wars character. Just make him a person. Give him a character arc. But nope, we're going to kill him off and show that he's just Night Sister magic. Another thing is, Ahsoka does not feel like the main character of this show. And I get the argument of, hey, it's okay for shows to have multiple characters that are given the spotlight. Like, that's okay. She can still be the main character. And I absolutely agree. But the main character needs to have an arc. She needs to go through changes. She needs to be how the audience is experiencing the story. Ahsoka does none of that, okay? She is literally just there with her arms crossed, giving no emotion. And I think the most frustrating part is she's such a cool character, and she's not given any time to be explored, to be fleshed out, to be given an arc, to go through any big changes. And it makes me wonder, why isn't this called Rebels Season 5? Or Rebels Into a New Galaxy? I don't know, some cringy, like, subtitle thing. Because this is what that feels like. This feels like an ensemble show. This does not feel like a main character-driven story. All that to say, I think Rebels Season 5 had great potential. But it's completely squandered here. And I think one major thing that could have helped is just making it animated. Now, I know not as many people are going to watch it, but let's be honest, how many people actually stuck through all 8 episodes of Ahsoka? Probably not as many as you would have wanted. I think the show overall would have been better in animation, and I think you could have done a lot more cool things. Yeah, Ahsoka is just wasted potential. It had potential to be a really good Star Wars show. Now, was it ever going to save Star Wars? I don't think so. But it had the potential to slowly get Disney on the right track, just like Andor kind of seemed to. But then Mando Season 3 came out and kind of derailed that. But that's about all I'm going to say about Ahsoka. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys thought. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping by and watching. I love you guys. And until next time, peace out, bro skillets.